Drop alerts, I'm claiming that drip. But the wallet's drained, yo, I fell for the script. NFTs popping, caught the frog for $1,000. Now the floor's at zero, just a JPEG in hand. Discourse is new, she'll scream to the top. But the charts free falling and my heart's gonna drop. Still I'm all in, double down, no regret. Cause the DJ's got a DJ that's the life that I bet. Slippage hitting hard, yeah, I'm slipping too fast. Ripple in my soul, but the feel's gonna last. Dev's got no face and the contract's a lie. Still I dive in head first cause I'm that kind of guy. I just wanna rock you all night long. Pump it to the moon and the floor's where we're on. Crypto DJ style, yeah we chase that spark. Rock you in the light, leave me broke in the dark. Smart contrast, a trap, yo, it's still in my stack. Devs on a yacht and they ain't coming back. X is buzzing, calling fraud on the plate. But I'm still in love with this DJ ballet. From the bull run highs to the bear market sting. Rug pull romance is my favorite thing. One more trace where I'm quitting the game. But you rug me again and I'm back in the flame. I just wanna rock you all night long. Pump it to the moon and the floor's where we're on. Crypto DJ style, yeah we chase that spark. Rug you in the light, leave me broke in the dark. DJs out there with the Lord. Let me know if you want to tweak the vibe or add more DJ flair. Explain local scams and NFT market trends. Make it catchier, make it catchier. Yeah, what's the ticker? Yeah. What's the ticker? Where's it at? What is the ticker? Where's it at? I got crypto in the bag, send the CA in the chat. Gonna ape another fat, got a runner on the map, so line of sniping like a gat. And the SOE is moving quickly, I'm the squeezing where they at. I'm trying to bring the Mimquins back, 1,000X is gonna land. I got he chilling in the back, and the gas fees are gonna slap. Where's the ticker? Where's it at?
Well, good morning. Good morning. I was thrown off a little by your PFP tick this morning. Seeing you come up with being all purple. Is
Oh
that
yeah.
because you're a gem?
Well, I just it's kind of like getting the AI model out there,
Yeah.
getting more eyes on the project because I feel like I love the project and I think the dev is also a awesome person. So
Yeah.
it's one of the, and there's so much to be said about what's being misunderstood about the project as well. And he's
Yes.
got so many, unfortunately, there's so many hurdles in terms of it looks like Phantom is deboosting, Deck Screener is deboosting because there's confusion with that phishing coin. The what are those called? The honeypot. Um, so
Yeah.
because of that, because the coin has been flagged, because there was a copycat
Oh,
project that was
Jesus.
trying to steal its its little rally, the launch, because the launch was kind of like announced and everything. I don't know. So anyway, looking at all of these obstacles, and then also there's I don't want to go into it too much, but there is
Sure.
like a flag for it on GM AI, as well as there's another deck screening tool. I can't remember which one, but it flags it and it says that like basically dev is creator is a rug basically.
Oh,
But
Jesus Christ. Isn't
but
it
when I
good?
talked to him about it, he said that it was there's a totally like rational explanation to it, and he didn't rug a community. It has to do with basically the way he managed some wallets. Like it had to do with like some like wallet management type stuff. Like when he explained it to me, it's like it's obvious that there's a reason, like a rational explanation for everything. Everything has like a reasonable explanation to it, but it's like, dude, like one after another, like these like little things kept like kind of like popping up that were becoming challenges. And so, I mean, my advice is probably not the best advice, but I was telling him to, maybe just give it some time, let some more people kind of discover it, and like allow some people to discover it for themselves. Because the thing about like trying to push a project is like there's such a fine line with like presenting it for people to be like, hey, look at how awesome this is. And then people making that decision for themselves, like, oh yes, that this is a bullish project because X, Y, and Z, and I've made up my mind
Yeah.
on this for myself. You can't make
Yeah.
up people's minds for them.
Look, I'm not gonna say too much because I don't want to fud it, but
Yeah,
I think this all these little mishaps are
yeah,
pointing in the direction that there's got to be a complete overhaul with this. That's kind of the universe interfering right now with it because here's the deal, Tick. There isn't. I would say 95% of all the holders are not even gonna know, and you are gonna have to explain yourself on these three topics over and over and over again. And it's already tiring to run a project, right? So um, when it's like this, it's better to move. Maybe, like I said, you're being on the wrong chain, uh, right? Maybe that's not your community because people on Solana tend to not really be into listening at all. They quickly want to be flipping bags left and right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so
It's like
you're
the
not gonna have these people hold on. They're not looking for utility like that. They think it's nice, it's there, and then it's when is it pumping my bag, right? That's basically uh,
yeah.
what the
It's
question around utility is on that chain. So you must find a better home for your project that has
yeah.
a community that is attracted to this.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, there's so much P2P on Solana chain because
Yeah, and
it's
so
basically
this is
designed
gonna
for
come up.
trading. So like you're saying,
Yes.
it's like when people are looking at projects, they're not saying, "Oh, what does this meme token do?" They're saying, "What's the potential upside? How tradable is this?
Yes.
What's the volatility?" And what is basically the psychology of why are people
The,
trading this? So,
well,
oh, there's utility.
the
Yeah,
context of the utility is just in the context of how far can it pump my bag. Now,
yep, yep.
look, that is a big part of the utility
And that's Solana.
as an investor on
Mm-hmm.
Solana, but not just on Solana. It's always a part of the equation.
Mm.
It's just for how much. And then on Solana, that's a lot, right? A lot
The
of the people are looking
the
for
bar is so
that.
low to
Yeah.
exit. Whereas like with Ethereum, it's like if you buy in on something, it's like okay, there's a little bit of a commitment
Well,
there
okay,
because you know what I mean?
yeah, it's also about the time span, right? So
Yeah.
other change people think also like, hey, this is need utility. I'm an investor, and if you're an investor, you want to make money in the end, right? So, but they might give it more time for project to actually allow it to mature and
Like
come to
virtuals,
fruition.
virtuals on
And
Ethereum would be a good example of a project that's actually like
yes,
developed a
exactly.
lot of
But now
yeah,
you're talking Ethereum and
yeah.
Ethereum investors, Ethereum traders, people on that buy projects, DeFi, and utility on Ethereum tend to hold a lot longer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
What do
that's
we have on
not that
Solana?
one. Yeah.
What do we have on
Well,
Solana? We
yeah.
got Tars AI. We got there's only a handful that I can think of off the top of my head of
Well,
utility on
Bonk.
Solana.
Bonk.
Yeah, what kind of
Bonk. You can
utility is
launch
that?
your AI
Go.
through Bonk as well.
Yeah.
But like
Okay.
I said, but the attention span on that chain is very, very low. If it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't pump within 24 hours, people are moving on to the next possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just working against you. What also works against you is that people get this notification, and 95% of the people will not go into the TG to ask what this is about. So it's going to be very hard to explain yourself why this and that a mishap with the
Mm-hmm.
wallets is now indicating that you're a serial rugger.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah,
why
that
I was
this
kind
is
of.
like the nail in your coffin. I don't want to fud it because I know you're really into it.
Mm-hmm.
But at one point, you got to think about a relaunch as something else,
Yeah.
something that
Well,
can give this utility a better home and a better chance to grow.
yeah. There are some areas where it's not struggling so bad. So if you go on Dex Tools for whatever reason, Dex Tools is like completely fine. The
Yeah.
audit rating on it's a 63 out of 99, so it's not perfect, but all of the
Mm.
audits, it's passed all of the audits.
Mm.
So yeah. Anyway, like when you look at it on Dex Tools, it's like it looks like the perfect project. So
Yeah,
there's
but
part of
nobody's
me.
took a look.
Mm.
You can have 99 things going right and then one big thing
Yeah.
that, and because especially on Solana, you don't get to explain yourself. There's no time.
Yeah.
People are not going to huddle on like on Ethereum or like on Tron, right?
Mm-hmm.
They very much are like, all right, so Dev's saying that I'm willing to trust it. There is none of that going on in Solana. I think this is the right project with the wrong chain.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
I
I
really
don't.
do.
Yeah, what a coach his kind of like advice kind of paralleled what you're saying, where he was kind of like, oh man, like with all of he kind of like that it's an uphill battle. It's a long uphill battle to try to combat like the snipers and the people that are either fighting the chart or other circumstances that are making it difficult to trade or get eyes on the coin that are messing with the visibility or the accessibility. So when I kind of brought this to coach's attention, he was kind of like, oh, like kind of like suggesting that jumping that abandoning it on Solana might be easier than trying to save this one. So yeah, we shall see what happens. It's not the
Yeah,
worst looking chart. It's like not down.
that's where I stand too. Yeah, but the chart is your number one marketing tool, and if the stuff is not pumping, it's gonna be a hard one. And I think coach has been in the space, so he recognizes this
Yeah,
too, right?
yeah.
And if anybody is about all about hodling things on, trying to work it out, it's me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm always like two teams because I may have sometimes have an advisory role. And it's like, well, you relax, guys, this is the grind, you gotta stay through it. But there's some things that's why I said it's already an uphill battle to run a project. This is no joke.
Mm.
It is worse than working 20 hours in a day job because it's 24/7 and you're dealing with people who get highly emotional around what they invested
Mm-hmm.
all the time. So you got to show really strong leadership when you run a project. You got to be unfaceable, unfuckwittable,
Mm-hmm.
and that is hard to keep up because you're human too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're kind of running a business, and it's not for everybody. So that's why people work in teams. You have to keep that going. But here's the deal: if these little things are then stacked against you, that's going to make it magnified at 10 times more.
Yeah.
And so what what I find then always pitiful, right after the fact, is that you do have nice utility, but if this drags on and is becoming a how do you say that,
Burden.
a burden,
Yeah.
then you're not going to see that utility anymore as bullish either. You're going to give up on that what you built,
Yeah.
right? So you kind of want, as is somebody who brings the project and made the utility, you kind of want to have recognition that it's bullish, right? That what you made.
Yeah. And that's
At
kind
one
of
point,
yeah.
that got to happen too, Tick.
Mm-hmm.
Or else it might give a very skewed, in this case, it might give a very skewed view of what's actually is going on.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm trying to say? It
Mm-hmm.
can, at one point, it will be like, all right, well, maybe it's because nobody's interested in this utility.
Yeah.
And that's why I think he is wrong. I think it's the right utility on the on the wrong chain.
Yeah, there's a few things about it too. It's like, and he could have positioned himself a little bit better by monetizing it from the jump somehow. Whether it was charge, coach advised, he's like, yeah, like charging a fee to use the tech, like a small fee, like either a
Hmm.
subscription or 99 cents or something, like something that's very so affordable that
Yeah,
people can't see why not to use it. But the issue with that was connecting wallets, and doing like onboarding, whether fiat or crypto, whatever.
yeah.
Um, that's
Also, yeah,
people get
API
scared.
cost.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
and
the
your
API, and that's
API costs are going up.
astronomical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
But
like,
look,
yeah,
there is much to, like I said, he's a builder, and I think he's on the wrong chain. Now, again, I don't want to pump Sui because there's fantastic utility on Tron as well. I just wish that people were launching projects were doing a deep dive on what chain their utility is actually coming to its right.
Yeah.
And people don't think about it. They think Solana is bullish, so let's go there, but might not be for every project. In fact, it is not for every project. Every
Right.
chain has its thing, right? So
If
you
you
got
yeah.
to,
If you have a
yeah,
trending
right.
meme that's going to be funny for like 3 days and you know it's going to be like
Yeah,
incredibly
that's
hot and
awesome.
funny for 3 days, like yeah,
Solana,
launch that shit on Solana because
yeah,
the quick the intense speed and everything and momentum
yeah,
will be good for pumping a trending meme, but something that a
absolutely.
sustainable project, you run the risk of snipers coming in, grabbing the supply super early, waiting for it to
Well, you have
yeah.
that tick, you have that on every chain, unless
Yeah.
you bundle it up for 90% from the get go.
Mm.
And that's going to be slapped in your face too. You can never do that in a good way. The only good way to do it is to fair launch
Mm.
because, like I said before, when you want to go, let's say you're fantastically successful, right? And BitCat is coming to you asking, maybe we should talk about a listing. They are going to go through how you launched, and they don't want to be implicated. See,
Mm-hmm.
so if you launched the wrong way with any shadiness, that's going to bite you in the ass later on. So you
Mm.
got to fair launch. Now I said there are some tricks and tips, right, to deploying in a way that you can get snipers pretty much wrecked. So you can do it. But look, you got to have, if you're serious about your utility and what you build, if you don't have the knowledge, then you got to hire somebody who can advise you and take you to the process of where your project would do well based on numbers and not on sentiment and not on volume. But because that's the mistake. Everybody's like, yeah, but Solana for volume. And it's like, yes, but the competition is fierce.
Mm-hmm.
And utilities, when you do the research, Jupiter is number three. That's the first utility that gets in the ecosystem of Solana that gets the volume. Number two are other shit tokens, literally. Number one and number two. So even Jupiter is fighting for a top position, and that's their one of their top utility.
Mm.
So utility, you can deduct from that utility does not work well with Solana because people expect different things from Solana, and it's not utility. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why Tars AI is doing so well on Solana is because they're backed by Solana.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have those backers, they can bring it, right? But if you don't, well, yeah, that's an uphill battle. So look at a different chain where people are more bullish on utility. The biggest ones that are bullish on utility is Cardano. But when you mention this to project leaders or people who want to bring their product, they're like, yes, but volume. It's like, yes, but you have less competition and you're tapping into your customers, your investors,
Mm.
because they love this. Versus the people on Solana, 95%, I would bet you it's over 90%. It's going for the memes. So if you want to then per se launch on Solana, then we can do that. But then we got to transform your utility into some sort of catchy meme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See what I'm talking about? That's
Yeah.
why I say good product, wrong chain. You got to think about the chain that you're launching on because these are your investors, the community of the chain. They want something. The community of Solana wants meme coins, hands down. And
Mm-hmm.
the other more chains are more like Cardano is 90% wants utility. They love that shit. They're very technical themselves. All the community there, right? That's why they don't intermingle much with other chains because they
Mm.
can't relate, right? And so, well, there's AVAX, there's Tron, right? There's many options here. There's Base. Base is fucking hella bullish too. Why not base?
Yeah.
You're rubbing shoulders with Ethereum. Number two, outflow from Ethereum, bullish. So
Mm.
yeah, but I think this was just a mistake. Like I love Solana, and that's why I'm launching on Solana without thinking about the investors there. What are they looking for? If you open a business in your city and you have certain customers, let's say you are this fancy coffee, you have this fancy coffee shop concept in your head where you're doing like matcha lattes and matcha lattes and whatnot, right?
Mhm.
And all in a nice setting. But if you do that in the Bronx or in Brooklyn, where people have not the salary to pay for $8 to $10 for a cup of coffee,
Mhm.
you need to look for your geographic. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say. You need to look for your buyers. When you bring a product, you need to look, and then you got to comply with what the research says where you should go. Because you might be bullish on that part of town where you want to have that, but that they might not have the people that would actually buy your product. And there's nothing wrong with your product. There never is. There's always buyers, but you got to align with that first.
Yeah.
See? So yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
But let's not worry about that. Will solve itself, right?
Mhm. Yeah, that was kind of my advice. Was like kind of like less is more with something like this. That by trying to beg, no guys, wait, like look, like this is what's going on. That he could end up like smothering the project by kind of like trying to do too much because it's like people kind of would rather prefer things to naturally unfold to let see where the cards fall. So I think that's letting it
No, it's
organically kind
coming.
of.
It's coming for a place that he wants to have movement. So you're gonna force the movement.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
like
And
I
you
said,
always say, yeah, you always talk about how when you try to force things like this, it never
yeah.
turns out the way that
Well, you're
you
gonna
see
get
it.
burned
Yeah,
out because
yeah.
how long can you keep this up? This is
Well, yeah.
about playing the long game, especially if you have a business. Like the first year, you don't make any money, but you're working 70 to 80 hours, and so you got to have a very clear view of your goals in order to keep that going
Mm-hmm.
in a way that you can somewhat sustain that,
Yeah.
and that will reward that. You got to know for sure because if no rewards coming after a year, things fall apart really quickly, and that's not due with your product, that's with you because you suddenly change your view around things and about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not getting a reward after some time, you're going to think, hey, what am I doing this for?
Right.
And you got to have a very clear thing about what you're doing it for, that you worked on that to present it, that you did all you could. And that's why I say that's why it's good to if you do not know, get somebody in to advise you, especially if you're emotional attached to your product. If I was ever to launch something somewhere, right now I can code myself, so I already made a banger CA. But even I am very, and because I love it so much and I put in so much work, I'm very unsure in which chain I should do this. And that's what held me back together with a couple other things, but that has been a part of it. And so I was thinking to myself, if I ever going to launch, I'm going to first sit down with some advisors that
Mm-hmm.
can help me do the research with them. So I'm not emotionally involved. I do not want things to happen because I love one chain so much,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be biased. My bias will come in there. And so I will spend happily 2 3K for to sit down with some people because that's going to be valuable for me in the end. I'm going to have the right product for the right chain, for the right community, for the right investor. So I don't need to look that hard. And then make it easier, make the workload easier after that. Because
Mm-hmm.
you do not need to do so much. And the investors you're talking to totally are into what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
That's a glitch with people who love memes, right? Let's just go down this rabbit hole since we're in it already.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome everybody here. Is there any live stream?
Yes, I do have the live stream up. Oh, I thought I
All right.
shared it to the
Well,
space that
maybe
I.
maybe not today. If there's nobody coming to chill, right? We're gonna have some conversation that
Yeah.
that might not need that much.
Well, no, I have the live stream up. I just didn't share it to the space. I
Mm,
got sidetracked here. Let me go ahead. It just takes 2 seconds. So I'll go ahead and throw it up.
yeah.
There we go. We are, but yeah, I do
Uh,
have the thing up. I was just doing some monad faucet stuff on the stream for anyone that was if anyone's wondering what all this stuff is that I was doing. I was doing practicing some like unstaking, fauceting, doing Kintsu, Atlantis, the monad faucet. I go through. I got kind of like a routine now. Co NFT. There's
yeah.
a series of faucets that you can hit each day, and you can get like up to I don't know, like 2.5 monad every 6 hours or something like that. So yeah, I've just been stacking and staking, just kind of like playing around with it because I haven't been, I'm not really grinding when I do it. It's because it's just
Hmm.
something I kind of do like on the side whenever I remember to do it. But I do it pretty
Oh
consistently a
yeah.
couple times a day. And
Yeah, that's what I do as well. That's
yeah,
what I do as well. It's a better way of doing it, right? It's not a
for
job. We're
sure.
just having fun and
Yeah,
testing. And then, now that you said something about the faucet, let's go there. I'm gonna
yeah. I'm up
milk
to
milk some monad
uh,
milk.
I'm still sitting at 0.16. I don't know how that's possible because so it's other people that are in this percentile are grinding at the same rate than that I am then. Every day they're doing like a few transactions. They've slowed down a little
Yeah.
bit like I have. The first 450 transactions were like in a month, and now the second 150 transactions have been I've probably done a decrease of about 70%, but of
Yeah.
my
But
interacting on the
here's the
chain.
thing. I go to Layer Hub and check, and then
Uh
it
huh.
only gives me to the 1st of July.
Oh, does it? Oh, yeah, yeah. Last
So,
updated June 30th. Oh, that's why it's stuck. Duh.
yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out to me. I was like, damn, I've been stuck
I
at
was
this.
looking and I was like, why isn't it? Why am I
Yeah.
not? Right?
Okay, okay. That's so
And
funny.
I'm
I
making
like
it that
I
way.
had this conclusion. I'm like, yeah, everyone else is grinding at the same rate as me.
See how
So
you can be wrong? See how you. Okay, so
that's funny.
how do you detect when you are possibly going down the wrong lane?
In like on the freeway? Hold on,
No,
what do you
no,
mean?
in with your
I was
mind like this, right? Oh, it must be because of people are now you're gonna think for other people,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
right? So
This
as
like yeah,
soon as
trying to
you
figure
start
yeah.
to think up scenarios in your head, like
Uh-huh.
totally fantasy
Uh-huh.
scenarios based on nothing,
Yeah, I do that.
99% of the time you're wrong.
I know, yeah. Yeah.
You got to look at some numbers. You
Start
got to look,
writing
all
it
right,
down.
cool. What's going on? Is this really the case? You got to test your theory.
Yeah.
And people forget always to test their theory. You could be right,
Yeah.
could be. So anytime you have this going down a fantasy lane with these things, which is good, you're using your imagination. That's a good thing. But you got to test that. You got to be like, all right, am I right in thinking this? Is that really the case? Is there anything else wrong? Let me check, right?
Yeah.
Let me check because I don't know. And now, I was like, I'm doing all this work. I ain't
Yeah,
moving.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
going
yeah,
on?
yeah, yeah. Did some
And last
investigating.
use,
Just did
July
some due
1st, I was like,
diligence. Mm-hmm.
yes,
You
test your
smart cookie.
theory. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, test your own theory. Because
That's
then
good.
you can learn a lot
Yes.
because you're willing to accept you were wrong. Hey, am I just by wondering, hey, am I right? I could be right, but I could also be wrong. Let's try and see what this is about. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can let that go. And because you're going to respond, you're going to take action. And this is where shit hits the fan for you in life in general when you do this, right?
Yeah, making
So
assumptions. Yeah.
yeah, your assumptions are mother of
Yeah.
all fuck ups. It's really true. You're assuming, you start fantasizing, you go down a fantasy lane, what other people are doing and thinking. You're going to fill that in based on just your sentiment. You
Mm-hmm.
saw something, you're getting a sentiment, an emotion around it, right? And I'm not talking an emotional like you're gonna have a breakdown or something, but you're not liking what you're seeing, right? I see
Mm.
no movement. All right, what's going on? Of course, it's never you that's the first problem. It's always other people. So now you're gonna think for other people. Oh, they must be taking. I had taken a break. They must be taking a break too. It's hot,
Right.
right?
That's funny.
Well, yeah, it's hot where you are,
Right.
but there's many places in the world where it's not hot, right? And there's 300 million people doing this. So what are the odds they're all in your state being hot together with you?
Yeah, it's pretty slim.
So yeah, right. So, but that's where we go. We hate to be wrong too. That's why we do this, right? We hate to be wrong. It feels like rejection, but it's
Yeah.
actually very liberating to be wrong because you might be thinking, oh my God, yes, now I got to really pick up the pace. So now you're taking action. So you're picking up the pace. You're doing more and more and more, and less
Mm.
is more, right? Less could have been more in your case,
Yeah.
right? But you filled that in with your mind, and then suddenly around, I'm just telling you, like, God, it got stuck for me. It got stuck, maybe, And then you look, it's like, yeah, I'm stuck too. Oh, that was the whole reason the whole time.
Yeah, it's just been the
So you
database is
exerted a
updated.
lot of energy in thinking what other people were gonna think and do,
That's funny.
which you can never know. This is the great thing about it. You're wrong to begin with because you cannot possibly know. You know jack what other people are thinking. And let me tell you, most people are not thinking about you
Mhm.
or what you said and done. So
Mhm.
they're coming from the same selective bullshit that you come from, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I try to explain this to teens all the time, especially in the gym. They're like,
Mhm.
yes, but I'm not gonna, and then I have to wear this in the subway. And I was like, do you think you're that for you in your world? You're the most important one. But everybody's thinking that they're the
Right.
most important one, and you should because you need to survive, right?
Mhm.
Okay, but what does that tell you then when you're on the subway in a certain outfit? Then you feel embarrassed because you think everybody's looking. Are they really then looking?
Maybe some of
No.
them.
Well, maybe some, but
But yeah, no, at the end of the day, when they're going home and going to sleep, they're
yeah,
not
but you
thinking in their
cannot
head
even
about
when
the
they look
person in
at
the.
you, you
Yeah.
cannot possibly be in their mind what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Even if they give you a little bit of an eye, they could be thinking, they could be doing that out of jealousy.
Right. On a superficial level, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It could be like, oh, I wish I had the. And then you can interpret that if your self esteem is low, what are you going to interpret that as? Oh, somebody thinks I look hideous,
Oh, right. Yeah.
right? You don't know. You cannot be in anybody. They might or they might not. But is it worth the energy of going down that road of thinking for other people? No.
No.
You have other things to do. Reaching goals, all right?
Mhm.
Yes, doing 1,000 X, becoming a millionaire. There's a whole list. So why are you worried
Yes.
about anybody else? Just focus on you.
That's a good point.
Yes, and
Thousand
you're
X. That
going to
thousand
succeed.
X chart is stuck like at. It's glued to the floor right now.
Yeah, it's glued there. But hey, the upside of being glued there
Yeah.
is a move up, right? So let's go have a look at that market then. Why should we? Let's go.
Let's see. Yeah. The
I'm
I.
in a fantastic mood. I had a fantastic day, even though my voice is horrible still. It's not getting any better. But I did a very good trade, so I was proud of that.
Oh, Tars.
No,
As
State X, State X.
you shorted a state X.
No, I longed it.
You put in a long. Oh.
Yes, and
Because where's it? Did
it
it
pumped
pump? Oh.
14% on a 40X long. Ding, 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 ding,
From
ding.
0.18 up to where's it at now?
No,
No.
I
Okay.
was in at 0.174.
Nice.
I got that. I'm on the wick there. So I saw it. I was like, yes, yes. Press the button, do it. But, you know, so that I had a fantastic day after that, too.
Mm.
But let's have a look at these charts because I really want to bring it out there to talk about it, Estate X a little bit. I added it now into in the top 10 in my portfolio. I actually raised the bar for it a little bit. because I'm bullish on when they're going to come out with that blockchain, and it just has all the hallmarks for me and the vibes together with it, and that's what kind of makes it powerful to me. Is like you have vibes with Bitcoin as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're vibing with Bitcoin. It has vibes. And I'm not saying we got the same vibes going here. Why doesn't my screen want to load? Hold on. It's bullshit.
Yeah. So when you look at the chart, yeah, you could see it run up, test the 3 cent mark.
Oh, beautiful, man. This is a chart.
Yeah.
That golden retracement on the fib. Oh, dear Lord. It's like nailed it, right? Even with a wick. I was like, oh, this is going to be a chart that is going to be so easy to TA. It's just, they must have had absolute fantastic market makers there.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's like I have an eye, right? And my eye is like, oh yes, I love something that has good market makers because they know how to paint a chart, and it's part of marketing to do that, right? Because they understand, and that just tells me that they understand very well that your chart is your number one marketing tool. You can have a fantastic utility. Bitcoin is something that is fantastic, right? It challenges the monetary system. But if Bitcoin was still $1,300, it just tells you there's no interest, even though you might think it's spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah. People would say it's too slow. The fees are too high. It's not practical for like,
Well, yes,
yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with our monetary system, right? That all comes into play. I gotta
Yeah. If it's not
restart this whole
broke.
thing here because I have Bitcoin on my screen, but it isn't ticking, so it's stuck. Let's go and
Hmm.
do some restarting of
Well,
this.
Visa and MasterCard on Solana. What did you see that? Where did I, 1 day ago? Visa and MasterCard
Mastercard.
generated a combined 64 billion in revenue across 400 billion transactions
Oh
last year.
yeah.
If 400 billion of these transactions were executed on Solana, total fee revenue would be closer to 400 million, a
Hmm.
99% reduction in cost to merchants. This was a foundation cap, which let me see, what is this? Building companies is in our bones. It looks like some sort of agency. But anyway, they did. So Solana had reposted this. It caught my eye, and I thought it was interesting because that is a great point that that they're making. So so Visa and Mastercard generated 64 billion across 400 billion transactions in revenue, and so and if it was done on Solana because of where the fees are at, it would be a 99% reduction. So
Mm.
that's one of these things that like we kind of like reiterated or touched on like a few times. It's kind of like the other option as opposed like people that don't have banks, like countries without banks or like a national currency, that like this is the next intended step for the way that those groups of people, those countries, those societies need to carry on in order to do optimize their trading. Essentially, is what it boils down to. Is how can we trade most efficiently, effectively for the without pumping the pockets of the centralized
Yeah.
institutions that are charging fees from both of us, the banks that are charging fees. And it's like the more that you kind of like look at this stuff, and it's like, hold on, why are we paying these people money for a service that we no longer need to pay them to do for us? Maybe 100 years ago,
Or
before, you know what I
or
mean?
how about they used to keep your money for days,
Mm-hmm.
and they would get interest over your money.
Yeah.
They would actually use it on the stock market and shit.
So look at the
Make
credit
that
card
money
companies.
and
What
then
do you
and
think
then
Visa
send it to
does?
you 3 4 days freaking
Yeah.
later for a giant amount of fees. They were eating on both things there. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And same thing with like Visa and MasterCard. They're charging you interest
Yeah.
on the money that they're lending you, and they're charging you interest on the money that you're anyway, you get what I'm saying. You're getting hit from both sides, and they're making money from every possible angle. You know what I mean? And that's just how the system is built. And so then you look at these other alternatives with like transparent tokenomics, for instance, or like infrastructure, where you can kind of see like, okay, when I put my money into this system, like what's going to happen? Well, the blockchain is, the transactions are on chain and there's transparency there. So it's kind of one of those things where it's, we always say do your own research, and it's kind of like the more you kind of dig into these things, like you could ask Chat GPT, give me 5 reasons that crypto is a good alternative to the current fiat financial system or tradfi, and it could start giving you down arguments, bullish case arguments for why this is going to be the way that we're headed. Dude, I keep going places in real life too, and keep hearing, oh, we're going to be accepting Bitcoin soon from like different like baseball. I live close to a baseball stadium here in California, and somebody I know that works over at the baseball stadium was telling me that they're like, yeah, we're gonna be accepting Bitcoin now, and so this is something, and there, where was it? Steak and Shake. Shake Bitcoin. That was something that happened in the last couple months. So May 16th. So this was a little over a month and a half ago. Steak and Shake is now accepting Bitcoin as payment at all its U.S. locations starting May 16th. This includes Lightning Network for faster and more accessible payments. According to news outlet, this company also introduced BTC branded burgers as a part of the launch. Steak and Shakes moves positions them as one of the first major fast food chains to embrace Bitcoin at scale. Not only this, let's see, Coinstar Bitcoin. So we have these machines in the grocery stores here in the U.S. Called Coinstar. I don't know if you guys have them overseas, but Coinstar allows you to take your coins, your USD fiat coins, and you go to the kiosk at the grocery store, you dump them in there. You can actually cash out now. Let me double check this, crypto. So you can actually take your quarters and your pennies and your dimes, all your nickels, and throw them into this ATM and turn it into Bitcoin. That's a new feature that these
Yeah, I guess we don't have that over here because people are not paying cash anymore here. That has been cash has not been a thing here for years already.
yeah.
Nobody has cash on hand here.
Oh yeah.
Everything is digital. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I mean, this, you look at this, so wide range of assets, cryptocurrencies. I have the page up right now, and it shows you could get Litecoin or Polygon or Chainlink or Ethereum or Dogecoin or XLM. All these, it's like they all look like dinosaurs to me now, because of the last 2 years and the evolution of everything has grown so much. But these are the indicators that I'm talking about that are like, if you're wondering, if you're on the right path, like investing this time into this crypto stuff, really take a look at the direction that like institutions are heading and infrastructure just in general. And
Yeah. Well, there's good indicator that one thing that you
what's
need to
that?
look at is the miners.
Mm.
Who are the miners selling to? And that shifted to institutional money by and large. So
Like
that whole
MicroStrategy.
thing, that whole thing that you were saying
Mm-hmm.
about, Bitcoin machines and this and that is going to pay with Bitcoin and that. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
right. I already know because these miners are selling to institutional money. Banks are buying. Everybody's buffering with Bitcoin right now. And so it's no, like I said, they are looking to get you to pay your taxes with Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And when the government wants to do that, what does it mean? They want your Bitcoin. First, they wanted your fiat. Now they want your Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I was 18, I got a job at a little like health food, like a vegan grocery store, like a hippie place. And when I got the job there, I was 18, and I remember they were like, they needed to set up my checking or my payment payroll. And they're like, oh yeah, what's your bank account information? I didn't have a bank account, and I had to like go over to the Bank of America and open up an account and set that up, and then go back over there and be like, okay, this is my information, blah blah blah. There's a future where that's non-existent, where it's like, oh, I don't have a bank account. It's like, oh, okay, what's your Bitcoin wallet address? What's your Ethereum wallet address? That's like,
Yeah.
it's the
Well,
future
now
that,
we're gonna go. Now we're gonna go to these unbanked people again, and the problem with this. So there's much more unbanked people than you would ever imagine.
yeah,
In our countries, there's hardly any. The ones that are usually are homeless people because you need an address for your bank account,
right,
right?
right, that's
So,
how the system
so
is, yeah.
yeah. So with the house issues going on, right, we're gonna have more unbanked people. But to choose to continue, exit, continue. Okay. So, but the rest of the world, by and large, people are unbanked to begin with. That is a significant amount in Africa,
Millions of people.
and
Yeah, read a
more people are
statistic.
unbanked than banked. You guys,
Yeah. So like that's something, like,
yes,
wrap your head around that. Like there's
yeah, wrap your
millions
head
of
around.
people
Yeah,
that don't have, well, I guess if it's more than that would be billions. The statistic I saw, I had ChatGPT going
oh
into
yeah,
it, but
yeah.
yeah, either way, it's still staggering.
Also, and and then that's just the unbanked issue, right? And not having a bank account.
Hmm.
The other issue would be, all right, uh, inflation. Not
Worthless national
inflation.
currency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
so look at freaking
A,
Venezuela,
a thousand
all these
dollars,
Latin American
$100 loaf
countries
of bread. Yeah.
suffering. Yes, you get paid on Friday in the morning, and inflation is staggering throughout the day, even fluctuating so hard that by the evening you can only buy two breads from that money you got in the morning,
Mm. That's
and
so
the,
crazy
and
to think
and the
about. Yeah.
stores are empty because everybody is like trying to hoard all the
Scrambling.
time,
Yeah.
because no, you gotta hoard, because if you buy a pound of rice for $1
Right.
and next week it's five, how many pounds are you expecting next week to be five, because that inflation is cranking up all the time.
That's
You're
stressful.
gonna buy everything that you can get from for the money that you have, because
Yeah.
next week it's gonna be five times more. That's why these supermarkets are empty. People are asking like, oh, but inflation, yeah, but these supermarkets are really empty. People have money. No, they're hoarding.
Mm.
And they should be hoarding, because that rice is making you money. You can either resell that or eat it yourself at lower cost. So that is just that unfolding. That's what happens when inflation rises. If you look at history in countries, that's exactly what happened. People are gonna hoard and buy as much for the money that they have today, because tomorrow your money might be totally worthless.
Mm. Yeah, well, and in the U.S.,
Yeah.
the rate of inflation is about 3 to 4% per year. So
Yep.
real estate is like
Also,
a
a lot.
hedge against inflation, because it's the rate of it grows at a rate about 6 to 7%. So that's why real estate is like one of the number one assets as a hedge against inflation. But Bitcoin and digital cryptocurrency is also as a deflationary, economic system. Is a hedge against inflation as well. So I don't know how bad it is over there in Amsterdam. In the Netherlands, is inflation like pretty out of control as well, or do they have?
Not that bad. I actually need to look it up, but I have problem hooking up to the internet with this
Hmm,
laptop. It's not doing that anymore. I don't know
I'm
what
gonna
the
look it
hell's
up.
going
I'm
on.
gonna rate of
Oh, yeah,
inflation in
I
Netherlands.
got it. I'm connected after
Let's see,
freaking 10 minutes.
3.3. So it's the same in the Netherlands, 3.3%.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
usually these first world countries hike up together.
Hmm.
So, yeah, not surprised there.
Well, and then
I
U.S.
also don't look
Tether.
at it, because
You,
other than my house, everything I have is in crypto.
hmm.
There's nothing in my bank.
When I
They can
was,
go kiss my ass. I'm done.
yeah, I was, well, and then you got Tether, stable coins. So all this stuff. So we have the
Yeah.
stable coin bill pass. That's, well, not passed
Yeah,
yet. I
let's
don't
talk
think.
about that bill. Go ahead.
So the thing about Tether, though, so Tether is a stable coin, but it's based outside of the U.S. It's actually it's like in the British Virgin Islands or something. It's offshore. So the thing is it's a non-U.S.
Yes.
entity that
It's
it's a
not
state.
sus at all.
Yeah, and so, but it's backed by the U.S. dollar. So a stable coin is a token that has to be backed by the U.S. dollar. So anyway, I was
Yes.
looking at some stats on like the volume and the liquidity, and there's something like 500% more liquidity than what is needed, and the volume is like in the trillions. It's like, let me see, volume. It's absolutely insane. And so basically having the debt owned by a company outside of the US, though, apparently is beneficial for the US. And so basically passing the stable coin law and getting all of this like kind of more regulated federally and everything is kind of it's actually kind of a good thing, in a way, is it gets incorporated into more, basically utility on the back end of things, that will just increase volume and drive the entire market in an upward direction. I wish I could find the information that I had been reading about it. I could go through my chat GPT, but it's not that important. But yeah, USD Tether. The reason I bring it up is because I'm not super knowledgeable about it. I was wondering, maybe let me see, 30-day trading volume. If maybe you knew a little bit, anything that you could recite. Let me see. So Pulse Wallet. This is a post from the other day. Tether USDT approximately 2.2 trillion dollars in trading volume over 30 days. USD coin, so USDC, roughly 375 billion. Let me share versus USDT. But yeah, what's going on with all this? And so one of the other reasons I bring it up is because what USD Tether is doing with Estate X, how there's kind of an affiliation between the two. USD Tether
Yes, I was
backing.
just going to talk about that. I was
Yeah,
like, if Tick is not mentioning this or it didn't
that's
gather that from
well,
a state X, then I don't know
that's
what you're doing.
so that's kind of why I bring it up though, is because but when I was hearing this stuff about Tether, for me I was like, whoa, like it was kind of giving me the chills because I'm like, it's back, it's reaffirming kind of this the assumptions or the connections that I make. I'll connect the dots and I'm like, oh well, if USD Tether is backing this, then that means that there's big financial conviction behind this, is one way to put it. But yeah, I just thought it was worth mentioning that
Oh,
what's
yeah.
going on with the stable coins and USD Tether is
Also, Tether recently integrated with the Bitcoin Lightning Network.
with a what network?
The Bitcoin Lightning Network.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's using a taproot
Uh huh.
to scale up, right? So yeah, so that's like a multi-chain that allows Tether to be used like across blockchains.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, so it can
I'm
always
reading
be
about it right now.
updated on, yes, on speed, scalability, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of the Lightning Network. Huh. It's layer two scaling
I'm trying
solution.
to. I got a lot of mail this time. What is this? Why are people not sending me emails? Ridiculous. Gotta look at all this stuff.
This is smart though. If two parties don't have a direct payment channel, the Lightning Network can route payments across a network of interconnected
Yep.
channels, similar to how data packets are routed on the
That's
internet.
bullish, you guys, because
Yeah.
when something shuts down, this has been the problem for a lot of things. This is the same reason why Real Estate X is doing their own blockchain, and then use something like this to be spread around. See,
Hmm.
that's better than when you peg it to just one blockchain, but then something happens and you're going under with it. So this is all about spreading risk, and not just that, but also bringing affordable pricing and speed, right? It just looks for the next one up. So where does it move to a lot then? Okay, well, Bitcoin, well, it does it through Bitcoin via Omni layer, right? And Liquid protocol. And then on Ethereum, it does it with the ERC20s. On Tron, it does it with the TRC20s. And then we got EOS, Algorand, Avalanche, CeeLo, right? These things.
Hmm.
Tezos, Ton. Don't forget about Ton.
Hmm.
Yeah. So there's, well, maybe we should do a utility space.
Han, forgive me. Is Ton's not? What does Ton have to do with Telegram?
Telegram?
Yeah, I keep seeing Ton coin on Telegram, but they have nothing to do with each other.
No.
Okay, the way that I was like seeing it, I was like, what the? It seemed like there's just a lot of advertisement of about Ton on Telegram. I don't know if it was the channels I was looking at
No,
or
no,
what,
no.
but I was like, are
Look,
these guys affiliated somehow?
The Ton stands short for the Open Network.
Okay.
The Open Network, Ton, it's a
Uh-huh.
layer one blockchain.
Well, oh, that's how you get paid through like
It's proof. It's
Telegram.
a proof of. It's a proof of stake blockchain, just like all of them.
Okay.
Originally, this was developed by Telegram. So
Okay.
the developers at Telegram, they developed that layer blockchain called the Open Network, Ton.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's how they
But
pay you.
if they're yeah,
Telegram pays you in ton for like
yes,
I don't know what it was, like referrals or some shit.
yes. So it is acts as a base layer protocol.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. By building the Web3 ecosystem in Telegram, Ton is
Yes.
making digital ownerships easy for
Yeah.
billions. Okay, so there is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is what Ton does, right?
Huh.
So yes, it is supporting its own network, and then Tether is issued on Ton as a native asset, just like it is on Avalanche.
Yeah, I was just looking at so.
But not on all. Not on all. Right?
Hmm?
Solana, I think. Avalanche, Algorand, I know. Tesos. I don't know. Maybe Polkadot too? Yeah, possibly. I gotta look into that. Maybe talking out of my ass here. I don't know. But I know for sure it's Tesos. I know Avalanche. Uh, yes, of course, Tron, Ethereum, right? Where Tether is a native. So, but it's not on every chain.
The
It is
open
on Tether.
platform. Did you see this? This is
Hmm.
what the
Yeah.
top. Oh, did you already mention this? That Web3 and
No,
everyone's
but you
fun.
should be bullish on Ton. Ton is in my portfolio as well. You should be bullish on it.
Well, so
You
Ton
should
and
know
Top
something about it.
Ton and Top are like affiliated though. Top is the open platform venture
Yeah.
builder for early stage projects on Ton blockchain, providing funding expertise to it's like VC for Ton, basically. Huh.
Oh yeah, there comes Chalana on stage. Let's
Hell yeah.
go. Oh, let's take a yeah. I have
What's
been
up?
talking to my screen
I was
with the
hoping we'd
mic
get
open.
some people
But
up here.
welcome everybody in the room.
Yes.
Welcome.
Lamb, Andro, Priest,
Yes, everybody.
Aubrey,
Chalana.
1000X.
Good
What's up,
morning.
Cholana?
Buongiorno.
How are you?
I was look-
Buongiorno.
I was looking at that ton chain. Is it coded in Kotlin? Am I am I looking that right? Do they
Is it
use a JVM language?
Well, I gotta look on that because I thought it was just ERC 20.
Mm, I need to double check. I
Oh
somehow look
no,
at.
it's something else. I forgot what its name was. It's something else, not ERC. It's not ERC 20. Let's ask the Googles. Don coding. Yes, let's but it's not. It's not. There's yes, it's called TACT. TACT is the new programming language tailored to Ton blockchain, emphasizing both efficiency and simplicity, driven by Ton Studio. Ton Web IDE is your ultimate browser-based IDE designed to simplify the journey for writing, testing, compiling, deploying, and interaction with smart contracts on Ton. Yep, TACT. What's that Jetter then? Jetten? Because that's a coding news too. Okay, let's ask Google's. Oh no, Jeton is so Jeton, right? Is a digital token standard on Ton, the open network, designed to facilitate the creation and exchange of tokens within the Ton ecosystem. So that's something else that is that Jeton was like in my mind, but it's no, the coding language is tagged, and so not.
ouch?
Is that something new or not? How to start developing in Ton? So the interaction between contacts can be done by only by messaging. Yeah, this is why it's this is where it really comes to show you who the builders are of Ton, right? So the functions of the contract are done to messages. That should not come as a surprise, as the Telegram is the ones that built Ton, and so they're using different something. So when you call other contracts during computations, it is done so by messaging. I think Solana understands me when I say this. The people will be like, "I check it out." Yes, yes, yeah. You can do the Ton SDK. Then you do add ton/ton, ton core, library, simplified interactions with the ton smart contracts. Yes. Function C for smart, if you want to create modify a jeton, then for the custom token similar to USDT, you will write it in the fun C, which is below the basic fun C example of jet and transfer function simplified based on TEP 74, and that's their tag. Yeah, so it works through messaging. Very interesting. I should look more into that. I know Ton is hella bullish. It's in my portfolio. I hold what I think are the most bullish layer blockchains, right? The blockchains. I'm actually, that's where you risk manage a lot in your portfolio, having your layer ones in there. And what do we mean with layer ones? It's the blockchains. It's where everything is built on, and you kind of want to hodl those on, at least the ones that have um, relevance in the future, right? And so, or at least in the near future, we cannot see 10 years ahead. Things will change, new things will come, other things will phase out if they don't stay relevant, right? But so you got to over time look at that. But initially, holding some layer ones is actually de-risking your portfolio by a lot, right? And it's already volatile in crypto, so it does really, really good for your for your portfolio. Now you want to have some in there that are older and some newer ones, which means that they are more volatile, like Sui, right? Or like Monad when they come out, or like that Estate X. But if you know something about it and you do your research, you know you want these things in your portfolio because they have a crazy amount of upside potential. That doesn't mean you should ape life savings.
What? Why not?
Why not sell the house? But yeah, it deserves an appropriate amount for the risk that it brings. But there's a tremendous amount of upside potential. So never bet on one horse. Diversify a little bit. And if you're bullish on it, yes, I'm bullish on that Estate X. I mean, I sold 30% of my XRP holdings for this, and that doesn't. I do that. That is the first time I ever sold some XRP for this. Well, I do not rotate out of any position because my bags are up on XRP at least 3 to 5x. So I'm not worried about that at all. I can use that and bring it somewhere else. And I bought that dip on Estate X at as 0.006, and it already killed a zero for me. So, uh, you know, yeah, if you know, you know. Let's drink some more of this tea because my voice is leaving. But I gotta cut it short today a little bit because there's this Dutch space that I'm gonna be 10 minutes in because
Okay.
I cannot talk too much. My voice is really going horrible this week. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm supposed to do about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll get better. Mine gets raspy too, like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, let me just give you a quick glance at Bitcoin. Right, we needed to hold 108 and we didn't. Let me look on the 4th hour how that looks. Yes, no, we got a candle right through that what was needing to be a support, so we didn't do that. Right, we fell through. We retested at 200 EMA on the 4 hour, which is not so much bullish, right? Even though we still have some potential here. Let me see how that daily looks now. Yeah, so it looks on a daily like there's this could be reversal candle down. If it's going down, we're going to 105.6. And then let me look on the lower time frames for you. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, the next target again is going to be 108.6, followed by 108.9. There's a shit ton of bears now there because we didn't make like a big move there. We tried to retest that trend line the first time we retested that. If you see on the 4th hour, we have that perfectly that we went to a wick through, but not a body of a candle. But now a body of a candle is through. The 108 has been broken. So now that trend line is going to be resistance again. Let's just try to retest that as support and did not hold in any support. But at least the 200 EMA is saving us here, and that can actually give us some lift. So what are we gonna do here? I still think we're gonna do a little bit of pumpy,
Mm-hmm.
and look.
Oh, the
I'm not
golden
gonna lie.
cross
It
on the two
looks like
hour.
a little bit of pumpy before a dumpy. That's what it looks like to me.
Where do you think it's gonna get rejected at 109 again? Or do you think it's gonna go up all
Well,
time high?
if we're not gonna, no,
Mm.
no, we're not going to all time high this weekend. I don't see it. Let me look at that 4th hour. No, ain't no way. So, no, if all time high, then we're gonna have to
Oh
look
yeah,
next week.
when you go on the 4th hour, how there's the death cross, and then it's kind
Yeah,
of yeah.
yeah, and look, we're overbought. Yeah, overbought on the daily as well.
Hmm.
We have some elastic rubber band to go to 115, 116K if volume comes in, but we see that now lacking start to slack off, and so usually kind of when the U.S. goes on a holiday as a holiday day, Bitcoin turns red. It's never fun there. It's like
Hmm.
the bulls leave the house, they're out partying, and then the bears are like, yeah, just sell the shit. But yeah, that 108 was something that we needed to hold. It kind of looked like we were not going to hold it anyway. We needed to pump just a little bit harder, right? And then all the stars have to align to retest that and be good with it. But I'm still happy with what I'm seeing though, because even though low volume also means low volume sometimes in selling, right? It just depends where the if the bulls are in charge or the bears. And actually, I see the bulls trying to at least hold that floor from the 107 to the 108.2. That has been pretty much being bought up, and they buy that because it is that zone right before that trend line, right? So they're buying up the floor. So bulls are doing really well. It's just that the bears were just a little bit just more drastic in the selling here,
Hmm.
volume wise. But this, I think, there's still a hell of a buy signal on Bitcoin that gives me confidence that okay, we might not have retested this trend line. It's going to possibly be on. You guys, so for the pattern, it's kind of good for the pattern because you don't want to, right? On that third try, that would have been something that Bitcoin would have never done before. Now that we are still not done with this move. We're still not done with this move because if tomorrow pumpies are coming in, we're going straight back to where we were, and then we are going to retest that trend line as support. And we might need to test that once, twice, three times. So we might dance on the trend, start dancing on the trend line, which I think would be bullish. That's a bullish setup for a move. So I'm still like 70% bullish here. 70% bullish here. I do have that 30% scenario that I am going to have to look at because it's something that's in the chart. And then it's like, all right, if we're really breaking down and shit is hitting the fan, where are we going to go? Okay, so we have that 107.6. The next zone we're landing on is going to be 105.1.2. depending on what chart you're looking at. And then the bottom of that trend line, if we need to go there again, that's sitting on, well, of course, there's going to be a time difference. Let me pull up the daily for that. Yeah, then we can actually break that 100 again. That could happen. And if I look at the Elliott waves don't give me any alpha here either because it does have that move, that fifth wave up on an all-time high, or we're down in a move four. We're down in wave four, which wave four is always a retracement. So both scenarios are still on the table where as far as Elliott waves are concerned. So, nothing has been invalidated here. But yeah, the dominance still remaining up, so that's a good sign. And so that's why when Bitcoin does a little dewey down, right, that's where we see these altcoins, following up with that and just, being constricted by that dominance so
Mm-hmm.
much. But that ain't nothing new. We've been doing that for months now. We should get used to. We should be used
Yeah,
to that.
I heard it
Yeah.
described as a beach ball that like everyone just keeps up in the air. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's
Well,
what's
that's
going on
kind
with
of,
Bitcoin
yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah. They have holding
the
a
dominance
ball
will
on the
drop.
water.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
dominance will
Yeah.
drop like a 0.5%, and then it keeps it just it
No, we
the
need more. If you want to see some pumps if you want to see good pumps in the market in your altcoins, you need that dominance to drop at least 5%. At
mm,
least 5%. For all these floors to be some floors to be taken back, and I'm not talking on any all-time highs. For that to happen, we need a lot more dominance to drop, and we need all season for these layer ones to do
yeah.
their thing. Except if they're new, they can escape that dominance pretty easy, right? Because they have not so much resistance in their chart. And then I am talking about say E, SUI, and now Estate X is breaking all the laws on you know, still in the green against Bitcoin, pumping against Bitcoin out of nowhere. And that's just because it can escape. And new launches and new charts can escape the dominance a little bit.
Mm.
But yeah, once they're out there for 2, 3 months to a half a year or something, it starts to adhere to that dominance a little bit more over time. But like Sui and Sei are like what, 2 years old, a year and a half? I don't know. Yeah, 2 years. They are still can escape that dominance a little bit more than let's say Ethereum can, right? Ethereum cannot escape. But Ethereum is bullish, you guys, because what do we see? An outflow from Bitcoin is going to Ethereum. That's just the thing. And then it goes back from Ethereum back into Bitcoin, and there's not much of that outflow that is spilling into the market through Ethereum this way, which usually because Ethereum is the second in the market, right? So that's going to be played right after Bitcoin or with Bitcoin even. And there's a lot of whales that buying up Ethereum right now, so they're getting ready for something, right? And but yeah, I don't trade on that. I just watch what's happening in the chart. And I do gotta say, right, we retested that trend line, and we fell through with a candle. So I cannot make that bullish, right? That is not a good move. We should have taken that as support. But we still can give it another try. Now, if we need to keep on trying and we keep a rejection now on the trend line, then I'm looking absolutely more down. And this whole move then starts to look bearish. And I do give reference to where Bitcoin wanted to do this before in the year 24, in April. It was making that same move, breaking out on the third go, not going to make a.com, and went straight down. Whole pattern failure, straight down to the lower end of any channel. Even broke that lower end, right? It was like a tragedy, blood in the market. So because when you don't go on the third, when the third move is not happening, what does that pattern then start to look like? Goddamn head and shoulders, something, right? Does it make sense?
Hmm.
Yeah, starts to look weird.
Mm-hmm.
And so that usually have like a massive breakdown. And back in that time, that RSI was crossing up on the daily. So golden cross and still did that, right? So um, that just tells you that having these trend lines, not testing them as support, falling through is a big deal. More of a big deal than the stochastic, is more powerful than the stochastic, right? But we can still save the day here. Pump a little harder and have the daily bang against the ceiling. But I see that a little bit more, well, maybe a little bit more down to that 107.2. Maybe wants to go and retest that 200 EMA again. But look, we're still bullish on the fourth hour. Nothing has been lost here, right? Nothing has been invalidated in a bullish move here. So we can still try and catch this. It's just we got to make now, again, more moves. We got to do more to get it,
Mm.
very obviously. So yeah, that's all we got on the itty bitty here.
Yeah,
Itty
there's a
bitty
lot. There's a
Bitcoin.
lot in the analyzation of like long-term holders and people that haven't sold yet and how far they are up and the sell pressure. And so all of those analytics too. There's people that do like analysis on like the people that
Yeah, I used to do that too, but then
mhm,
I'm looking for reason why the chart's looking the way it does, and I just
mhm,
have to look at the chart. At one point, all
right,
that research is kind of like that's a lot of energy expenditure. I can just look
spinning
at the
your
chart
wheels.
and
Yeah.
it will, yeah, well, the chart will tell me what's going on here.
Well, and then what about X
I do
stocks?
I do look at wallets that sell at a loss because I do know, and this is the
Mm-hmm.
thing in the stock market, when that gets to be anywhere 60 between 60 and 70% of the people selling at a loss, that's the
Yeah.
bottom is in. That's a rule. There, and sometimes that's
60%.
why when we say a shakeout, literally they want you to sell at a loss because that people selling at a loss is up between 60 and 70%. It's a thing. Then we start pumping.
And that's only on Bitcoin, or is that like on any token?
It's any no, that's on any trading,
Yeah.
even in the stock market.
Oh,
The
yeah.
big money will wait for people to sell at a loss between 60 and 70%. When then it hits 60 to 70% of the wallets as sold at a loss, they're gonna pump it. That's where they buy the floor. And not sooner. So that's why sometimes you see the price go down and you're just like, went pumpy, all right, well, we haven't hit. We need to scare more people here. And sometimes they give a helping hand by giving some freaking bearish news on something.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think they miss the train a little on Bitcoin because they love to abuse that war or efforts for war to talk the price down of Bitcoin. Well, we all know that war turns on the money printers, inflation will happen, people will buy Bitcoin. But they just try to be like, oh no, it's war, so Bitcoin is down. And then everybody's like, oh my God, right? What they want you to do is sell at a loss
Mm.
and become a part of the not going to make it.com train. Yeah. So,
That metr that's those statistics aren't on DeFi Llama though. You can't like see that information, right? That's um like if you wanted to look at like a particular coin and then see how many people were upside down on their trades, you would do that by going,
well,
well,
maybe
on
AI
Deck
can do it
Screener.
now.
I
Maybe
know
AI can
that's
pick that up.
I was asking ChatGPT what would be the best way, and it was saying
Hmm.
that you could code something in Python and Rust and do some API calls
Yeah.
to do that. But I mean, another way that kind of do it like manually would be go on to like I guess Deck Screener, and then you could go. I'm looking for a good example. So
Yeah, that's
uh,
what I used to do.
yeah, and then yeah, so
The hard
Uranus is
way.
the new one that's pumping
Yeah.
today. Uranus is at 11 cents.
Uranus. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
no.
market cap at 10 million for Uranus. And so you go here and you go to holders and you can see or no, top traders. And so then you go to the P&L column and then start scrolling down and get to where it starts turning red. Oh, well, the top 100 trader holders on this or traders on this token are all in the positive. So this is actually kind of a bullish, the Uranus one.
No, it's not. It's sell pressure what you're looking at. The other
Mm.
way around is bullish. This is the whole thing.
Oh, because they're up a buttload. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now it's time to
it's
sell.
sell
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah. When you
Yeah.
look at the chart, I mean, on Uranus, if you look at the chart, it's ridiculous looking.
I love how you say Uranus. It's
Yeah.
funny.
Uranus. But yeah, this is the number three coin today. It's at 12
Yeah.
million market cap right now. It looks like the last leg up is just
Yeah.
a
Looks
giant
like too many
vertical.
people are in profit, so be careful because they're looking for some exit liquidity right now.
Yeah, all of these. This is just another coin of the day, flavor of the day.
Yeah.
Any of these ones that run to
Well,
10 million,
this
they
is the
all.
whole deal. This is why you need to buy when it's red and sell when it's green. And that's why when you look at wallets and how many people are selling at a loss and how many
Mm-hmm.
people are in profit tells you about buy and sell pressure. So buy pressure comes in when 60-70% of the people sold at a loss. That's the floor. Usually when you backtest that, you notice that these are the floors.
Mm.
And because, big money in stock market trades like this all the time too. They're looking for their entries and they're looking for these signals. And they know the metrics because it has been backtested over and over again. When 60 between 60 and 70% of people are selling at a loss, it means the bottom is in. This has been backtested, and that's why they use it as a metric.
Mm.
And what you're seeing, these people are being up. You would be like, oh, bullish, everybody is up. No, this is sell pressure. They're looking for some extra liquidity now.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to sit on a 5x bag for too long? If,
Yeah.
if that if that coin moves a little bit sideways, these people are going to sell
Mm-hmm.
because either they need a quick pump up from all of this in order for them to hold on a little bit longer. But if shit starts to move sideways, and this is where you get this Hail Mary sideways, then big wallets are going to sell. They were up 5 6x. I don't know, just saying something, but they were up significantly. Now they you see that candle down. Then other people think like this is my entry, but then there's a whole herd of other ones that forgot to sell at the top. So they are going very near the price. So they get a Hail Mary pump back to somewhat underneath all time high. And that's where these other ones are going to sell because they missed the first top
Mm.
and they want to recover profits. So, and then, it candles down again. And then people who don't realize this and don't check their stuff, they're going aping in at that one. And usually it's in on Solana very much meme tokens. Then move sideways down, sideways down, sideways down. It's just one breakdown after another. And before you know it, bags are down 80%, 80-90%, right? So yeah.
Mm.
Usually you got all these things that you should look at, and there is a pattern in things. You cannot tell me. Even in meme coins just launched, they follow some sort of a cycle, even though you can't TA them with the TA that you're using on Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that kind of stuff, right? You can look at holder count, how many people are up, how many people are down. These are things that on a meme coin, especially if it's just launched, can tell you so much. If
Mm.
half of these people are up in their bags, that's a huge amount of sell pressure. And they need some liquidity to come in to how do you say absorb all that.
Mm-hmm.
And if that
Yeah.
ain't happening fast enough, shit is breaking down. And that's why if it doesn't happen fast enough, that breakdown on Solana, on Ethereum, people are still willing to hold a little longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on Solana, if that is not pumping within an hour or half an hour, that thing is not picking up speed again, breakdown, and you're done. That's how fast people are out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the thing is like wishful thinking, right? It's like fulfilling your own wish here, because people are saying, yeah, these things don't last long. Yeah, but you're selling freaking early as hell too, and you kind of
Mm-hmm.
gotta because if you
Someone else
don't, you'll
will.
be the last one standing,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
you'll be holding that back to dust. So you kind of gotta. But the whole, if everybody does it, it's like this self fulfilling prophecy happening, and about it, but everybody is a part of that dynamic, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
I've seen
It's
that so
funny.
many times in Telegram
Oh,
channels where people are like, "Oh, they need to stop selling," and it's like the people that are selling are the ones saying, "Every you guys need to stop selling," or and it's like
yeah.
so stupid. It's like it feels super childish when you see it in action for sure in the Telegram channels. That's why people have kind of like abandoned that method
Well, now
altogether.
we're coming back to where we started this space with
What's that?
the right project for the right chain. You don't want that to happen when you have a good quality utility because people are in Solana are looking for that. They want to trade the chart in a particular way that is done on Solana. That's what they're used to. So you can tell these people, hey, this is utility. Why are you selling? Well, because other people are selling. This is what we do on Solana,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because usually we're dealing with shit tokens, so that's what we want. So go ahead, but you can tell me whatever utility you got. I don't believe
Right.
it. I'm not here for it, right? It's the chart is down. I'm out. I'm selling, right? So, and they are not wrong because that strategy keeps them safe on Solana. It works on Solana. If you're not having a very tight stop loss on Solana, you're going to get very, very wrecked. Everybody knows this. So, if you want some stability with your launch, and maybe you're going up a little slower but maybe going up a little better, right? And having the time to explain to people what the project's all about and actually get investors on board more than you get traders on board like that. Yeah, but then should you be on Solana for that? That's then going to be the question. And I would say no. There's if you have like your anus as a meme coin on Pump Fund, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm even buying. That just fits what's happening there.
Yeah.
If you come with some, let's say, I do some acronym for my super duper utility that I have built that is actually hella freaking bullish. Should I launch that on Solana?
Yeah, right.
It
Not
doesn't
if
sound
yeah.
like it doesn't sound like a meme. Right, is that's what I'm trying to say, right? It doesn't it, there's a different know your geographic, right? When you open a business, when you launch a product, you got to know where your geographic is. So where is it, where are the people that are going to buy this product? And on Solana, people love to buy fart coin, they love to buy tits and ass, they love to buy anything in the moment that's funny or anything that Elon said. That is your geographic, and then if you bring in some utility that could be hella bullish, but there's a disconnect here of what people expect and what you bring to the table do not match up. So projects should be thinking about, not just thinking about, yes, I'm bullish on Solana, so I'm going to launch there and I got this product and I think everybody needs that product on Solana. Well, is that true? Where are your numbers, right? So uh, you got to do what's good for your longevity of your business that is having to make you money. So you having a bias towards something is not good in this, right? It's gonna bite
Mhm.
you in the behind. It's gonna bite you in your anus. Yeah, that happened. Hey, but I gotta move into a Duchess space if you guys wanna have a laugh of me talking Dutch with other fellow Dutchies in crypto. Then go ahead, be over there. Cholana was in there. I think he was having a blast, just listening to Dutch people speaking. And then sometimes the funny part is that you're gonna speak Dutch, but then you're gonna do crypto is has a lot of English language and lingo in it, right? So yeah, you're gonna be like, yeah, talking Dutch, and then sometimes people say, yeah, bullish, right, bearish, or yeah. So that's kind of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, what's the ticker?
It's
Yeah.
Friday.
What's the ticker? Where's it at?
Not that I
What is the
care.
ticker? Where's it at? I got crypto in the bag, send the CA in the chat. Gonna ape another fact. Got a runner on the map, so line of sniping like a gat. And the Zoe is moving quickly. I'm the squeeze them where they at. I'm trying to bring the mem coins back. 1,000X is gonna land. I got it chilling in the back, and Where's the ticker? Where's it at?
Yes, everybody, thank you for coming. Thank you on the live stream and the live stream on X, right?
Yes, indeed.
Follow each other. Follow each other right to the right and to your left. Let's go.
Thanks again, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay bullish.